welcome back to Union Smack right here, Hibiki TMD on YouTube. As always, I am joined alongside my co-host, the Maniac Matt Tin. And what's going on, man? Welcome back. How's things? Where can everyone catch you?
Same shit, different week, I think, Travis. And as usual, everyone can catch me. As usual, everyone can catch me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can buy our official merchandise, the official Union Smack shirt, Hibiki TMD shirt. I'm not going to be able to do this without laughing. From our online store, unionsmack.bigcartel.com. You can buy my Undertaker book, A Trip Down Death Valley from CompletelyNovel.com. And fuck that up, didn't I? Tenant Talks will return this week for the first time in 2 months. Apologies, I have been slightly lazy combined with no news, but we are back this week.
We are back this week. Tenant Talks is back. It's coming back this week. Zicky Dice is coming to the alternative. And first and foremost, let me pull the curtain back while we're giggling like schoolgirls this week. This is take 2. For some reason on take 1, when I usually say, welcome everyone, I said, tip of the hat. And we're still trying to figure out why I said that. And it's been just downhill ever since. But yes, we are back. Tip of the hat, Matt, for getting it in there. I found a way to use it. And you can follow me and use me on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD, or check us out, ProWrestlingJournal.com. The team, everlong fantastic writers over here. If it happened in the ring, they're your thing. The most eclectic group of pro wrestling bloggers this side of the Mississippi, hosted and funded by Drew Ortman. All that goodness, yeah. And that red button right down below on YouTube. Hit it for all the best. I cannot stop laughing about Tip of the Hat, too. I'm trying. Retro gaming, pro wrestling, heavy metal podcasts, and every nerdy thing in between. Speaking of in between, we are in between tapings now with NXT UK. York is done. Thank God! And now we are headed to Coventry, Matt. No spoilers on this show, but it does not look very promising. You'll get into that on Tenant Talks, but man.
No. Yeah, we've got a big segment on Tenant Talks. And obviously the episode you're listening to now will be the last from Coventry, like Travis said, enthusiastically, thank God. But Coventry just looks, I mean, if you thought York was bad, like quality-wise, Coventry looks a step down from this. I think by the time we get to April the 26th for TakeOver Dublin, you'll be saying like, oh, York, good times.
I feel like when we're a week away from TakeOver Dublin, after these tapings have been rolling on, we're going to be like, there's a TakeOver in a week, right? What are you guys doing? Because that's just the kind of feel I feel like these results gave to me, like head-scratching booking decisions. But I'll let you handle that on Tenant Talks this week, a cheap way to plug it. And guys, if you want to know what went down at the Coventry taping spoilers, check out Tenant Talks this week, Matt. But this week on Union Smack, we're here to talk about the final night of the York tapings and what went down, Matt.
Yes, episode 84 of NXT UK, Travis. We're almost at 100, 16 weeks away.
I was born in 84 too, so this is kind of a milestone for me.
Oh, there you go. A little Travis fact there. And do you know what? I've just realised you said in your little bit, you went, use me on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD.
Yeah, I was hoping nobody noticed that, but yeah, here we are. Apparently I'm also a cam girl this week too, guys. Here's my OnlyFans account in the description. If you know it, yeah, use me on Twitter as you wish. Hey, I'll say this. I bet our followers on Twitter use me better than NXT UK's use Travis Banks. Huh?
Yeah, well, let me just calm down a second and then we'll carry on. Okay. So, NXT UK episode 84, it began with, I thought, a quite good video package for the main event, Dave Mastiff and Walter.
Incredible video package, and I have the hottest take probably of the week on the channel with this right here. I was thinking it more and more over the weeks. I've been thinking it, and I'm 100% convinced now. NXT UK, out of every single brand in WWE, does the best vignettes / builds / whatever you want to call these things for their talent out of any brand, hands down. They are done with such a touch of class. These things could air on like an ESPN, in my opinion, or something to that effect.
Yeah, agreed, as always. I think the one thing NXT UK always do flawlessly is their video packages. It's a shame sometimes they don't follow up as well with the storylines or matches, but great video package here, and set the scene for the I've got to get used to saying this, the NXT United Kingdom Championship match in the main event of this episode. One thing I will say though, Travis, is that following this video package, I'm pretty sure it was Aiden English, so this is the largest or the biggest title match in the brand's history.
And he was trying to say that as like an aesthetic kind of thing too.
Yeah, it didn't come across like that. It was just like I felt like he believed this was the biggest title match in NXT UK history.
I caught that at first, but then I felt like Tom Phillips kept driving it home because he kept saying literally the biggest title match in history throughout the episode. So Phillips got it right. It was the delivery of English that I can totally see what you took by that, because I did it first. And then I was like, wait a minute, they mean because there are two big hosses in there is what they're going with,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Matt, let's do that right now.
This is the last one.
Let's go off track a second real quick. What, in your opinion, is the biggest UK title match they've ever had? Because I'm still going with Walter and Dunn. It's got to be. It's got to be.
Oh, yeah, of course it is. For what it meant and how it ended, yeah, Pete Dunne Walter at Takeover New York. By far the biggest title. I don't see... I mean, some would probably say the Dunne and Bates in the final of the...
That's my number two.
Tournament in 2017. Yeah, because it crowned the first ever champion. But following that, it was like, Pete Dunne put more meaning on that title with his reign. And so him versus Walter and the end of the reign is the biggest NXT/WWE United Kingdom Championship match has been so far.
I also feel like Pete Dunne and Noam Dar gets critically overlooked, even though it just happened on a regular episode of NXT UK TV. It was a pretty damn good little match they had.
So does Pete Dunne and Danny Burch. I have to say that's like one of my favourite matches of his reign. But do you know what? People only look at the pay-per-view matches, I think, sometimes, and they don't look at the smaller matches that help build the reign and, finally get it to where it was.
Well, it's easy to do that. It's easy to do that, Matt, when you never watch the fucking show. I mean, I do an MLW podcast now, and same thing with MLW. It's one of the best products on TV. I'd have to give MLW, just booking-wise and as a flow right now, the edge on NXT UK hands down right now with just the piss-poor booking decisions UK's doing and just the non-existent buzz on the product. But yeah, NXT UK, I feel like, and we got, my buddy Yateman, I'll throw you out on Twitter this week. Me and him got into a thing where he's trying to say there was no heat on the build to Devlin and Bate, whereas he feels like it affected the TakeOver match. And Yateman, man, you're a great dude and you're my buddy and all that, but I don't know where you were coming from with that take, because even on TV, Matt, you were there front row, but I could feel the spectacle watching that. That's been one of my favorite years all year, my favorite matches all year long, hands down. The crowd made that match just as good as the in-ring. The build wasn't incredible, though. I kind of got to agree with him in that aspect. The build to that match was kind of piss poor.
Oh, yeah, they could have done so much more for it. I think we got a promo. Jordan Devlin ran in at the end of a Tyler Bate match, hoping to attack him, but Tyler Bate obviously, caught him before he struck. And then we got, I think, I'm casting my mind back now, I think there was like a brawl a few weeks before TakeOver with the pair, and that was it.
Nothing memorable, bottom line.
No, nothing memorable. Nothing that you would certainly think would lead, to one of the greatest matches of the year. You infected me tonight, Travis. Arguably one of the best matches in NXT UK history. I'd certainly say it's in the top 5.
Top 3 easily for me.
But there you go.
It was that good.
But yeah, nothing memorable in the build.
Speaking of build, I was kind of hoping that's where this opening match got us this week on NXT UK with Travis Banks and Alexander Wolf, Matt. It seems like in eternity we've had these same, we said it last week, we said it the week before, all these fucking promos with Travis Banks have been exactly the same thing. Finally, we got a little bit different with like the altercation with him and Wolf backstage. And I felt like this match was to get him back on the right track momentum-wise. God damn, was I fucking wrong.
You couldn't have been more wrong, could you, really? Because this was basically another vehicle to get Alexander Wolf and Imperium over, and fuck Travis Banks. I think that was the message coming out of this match from NXT UK management.
And this,
I don't know why they don't. Go on.
No, good.
I was just going to say, I don't know why they don't see anything in Travis Banks. I don't know why they're not using him properly. Maybe it's because he's got commitments elsewhere and he can't, fully give his time to NXT UK like Tyler Bate and Trent Seven do. But then again, saying that, Bate and Seven, they wrestle elsewhere only lesser than Banks do. But
right.
Maybe that's it. I just don't know. There's no answer. As
far as the crowd for this match, which, for what it's worth, even though the booking was fucking awful and I hate the outcome, this match was pretty decent. You got to admit.
Yeah, good match. I mean, Alexander Wolf looks like a fucking machine, and I'd very much like, them to do more with him. I think just because he's in Imperium, he shouldn't just be shackled as, the hatchet man of the group. But I'd like to see Alexander Wolf and someone who can go 20, 25 minutes at TakeOver and just put him on that stage. Maybe have after Walter is done with his Dragunov at TakeOver Dublin. Spoilers, sorry everyone. Maybe you could have a little infighting in Imperium. Have someone stir something up within Imperium, and then have Wolf challenge Walter at the next TakeOver. It doesn't have to lead to the breakup of Imperium or the exile of Alexander Wolf, but I'd just like to see him and Walter, because if you've seen Wolf and Walter in WXW some years ago, before Wolf signed for WWE full-time, it's great matches, Travis. Yeah. So I think there's a few more years' experience that they've got now on a stage such as TakeOver. 30 minutes, you've got magic.
I hope they make me eat my words from 2 minutes ago, because that outcome right there would be the only reason I give the booking of this match a pass. The only reason. If that never happens, then this was an asinine decision to do this. Because this is just totally null. And how many times can you take a guy and make him null and void? This is literally three to four times now, I feel like, with Banks. At least.
Yeah. I mean, I can't add anything to that, because he should have been one of the standout stars of NXT UK, but he's just turned into one of the biggest booking disappointments. Yeah, and he has tried. It's like his match with Noam Dar
it's not on him.
In Cardiff was very good. No, it's not on him. His matches with Ligero, though stagey, have been very good. His match with Walter at, I think it was Download Festival last year.
Hard hitting,
it was very good for the 12 and a half minutes it got.
I enjoyed that.
And, every time, me too. If that had been given 25 minutes on a TakeOver stage, it could have really turned people around on Travis Banks, maybe. But as it is, they see him as a low mid-card talent, and I just hope that they've got plans for Alexander Wolf.
I think the only reason he's not going up against Devlin in Dublin is because they know Devlin's going to get such a great babyface reaction. That's kind of why they're going with Dar, because it's so easy to boo a guy like Dar,
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter who you put Devlin against in Dublin. Devlin's the babyface at TakeOver,
right?
Regardless.
Mm-hmm. But that's also one more thing I have written down here about this crowd. This crowd was some of the weirdest heat I've ever seen in quite some time. This was more this. And this proves to me again, they've got to tape these out of order. It's out of order. You know what I mean? Because there's no way crowds are so hyped for certain matches with lower to almost bottom card guys. It seems like during these tapings, and non-existent for top guys on this. And it's what MLW does. It's what a lot of companies do with tape shows. Nonetheless, this crowd was so weird, and it kind of came off like Japanese heat at some points. They were so into certain spots of this, but they were just such short little spurts. It just stood out to me as just being so. Other than that, they were quiet as church mouse.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to have to disagree with you on they tape it out of order, because I followed these tapings, Travis. Obviously, when it's done live, I look at the results every few minutes. I have the list of matches, and the list of how it's taped is generally 9 times out of 10 how it appears on weekly television.
Wow.
Maybe one match is taken like from night 2 and placed in the second week we see, but generally it's all taped in order.
Then that is just so crazy to me. Then this crowd was just some of the weirdest shit I've ever seen as far as reactions. I don't get it.
No, maybe they were just like...
Maybe they're just drunk at this point. That's all it was.
Well, let's not forget, this is night 2, and if you've attended both nights of tapings, this is the beginning of hour 7.
Yeah. So
you've sat through in 2 nights. So maybe it's just like, we don't care anymore. Let's get it over with. We'll react when we want to react. We just want to go home now.
And if they closed all these tapings out with Walter and Mastiff then, right? That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was gather your coats and get the fuck out time for sure then, because that crowd, that did not feel like the send-off of 2-night tapings, that main event. Well, we'll get there. I think end of the day, though, decent little match. Like, I didn't leave. These guys work great together. Alexander Wolf with one of my favorite German suplexes in the business, by the way. Kenny Omega, take fucking notes. That's how you do it.
We'll have all the AEW fans over us now, Travis.
Oh, bring them. Bring them. It's past their curfew anyway. Their mommies and daddies won't let them use any more phone data or internet data. That was that, though, and it really sucks for Banks. And, I mean, if your little prediction fantasy outcome with Wolf and Walter holds true, then this made total sense, which, do they have that much fucking foresight? I doubt it. I don't think they do.
Nah, I don't think they do. But let's be honest, like, after Dublin, where does Walter go next?
So tough. We've said 7, but they've done that.
They've done it in a non-title match, I think it was, at Download Festival last year. But, I mean, for me, they're scraping the barrel now with Dragunov in that there's no real build. And apologies, I have to say this, apologies for anyone that's not, obviously, seen the taping results, but the Battle Royal, Travis, in which Dragunov wins number 1 contendership to the NXT UK Championship, was the last thing they taped in Coventry, which means it will air 2 days before TakeOver Dublin.
Oh, wow.
How can you build a serious title match in 2 days?
Oh, wow. Jeez, this gets better and better. Where did that take us to next, Matt?
That took us to a Eddie Dennis vignette. I mean, that's basically all it was. He says that everyone's astounded, that he went from principal to wrestler, but the 2 things have things in common. I checked out on this vignette.
Same.
I didn't like it whatsoever.
You know why I did? Because we watched these same fucking vignettes like 2 years ago almost, I feel like.
Yeah, and they went nowhere.
And the only reason I feel like these made air, because they still have plans for Dennis when he's healed up and he does come back to TV. This just keep him relevant. I feel like these might have been the same promos. They just re-aired them. I don't know. Shit.
They weren't, but they were very, very close. It was like they had to do something with him while he... you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's kind of to the effect in 97 when Austin hurt his neck. They always found him a way to keep him on TV. This is like doing that, but doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree. And that took us to a video package number 2 for the tag team division.
Amazing.
Which I loved it. Yeah.
Absolutely incredible little package.
And the teams look so strong, and the titles look important, and then we're just going to reach Coventry, and that's all just going to be flushed down the toilet.
This may have been one of the most deceptive video packages I've ever seen, because they have no plans for any of these fucking teams. None of them have been booked anything credible unless their name's Gallus, really, in the past 6 months. None of them. You know what I mean? But you wouldn't know that by watching this vignette. Yeah. You would think that this is the most on-fire tag division in the whole fucking world. You know what I mean? It's just, ugh.
Yeah.
Propaganda at its finest, even though it was really fucking well done. It was, by the end of it, and especially what you told me off air with what we're going to do with commentary, really depressing. by the end of it.
Very, very depressed. It's like, by the time we get to the end of commentary, you're going to look back on this video package and go, what was the point of even airing it?
Yep. I feel like that's been half of this week's episode review already, Matt. What was the fucking point of this then?
That is very true.
Oh, by the way, we're not done with that because we got the ladies coming up soon. So we'll stick around with more of those kind of takes.
Yeah. Right. Next up, Saxon Huxley versus Ridge Holland. And have you ever seen a wrestler look as hopeless and defeated walk into the ring as Saxon Huxley?
Just look lost. Like, completely lost.
Just cashing the paycheck. He just, I think it's, I know they want to stick with, like, the OGs and, you know, loyalty means a lot, etc. But surely it's time to let some of these men go.
I don't know if you noticed
like
this.
Saxon Huxley, Tyson, T-Bone, Travis Banks. Let these men go and have their freedom elsewhere.
I don't know if you noticed this during Huxley's entrance. For some reason, there was one woman in the crowd losing her mind and wooing like he was just the sexiest piece of man meat she had ever seen. And it was like a shrill shriek, and it stood out to me because it kept piercing my ear. And I was like, "Shut up, lady! It's just Saxon Huxley."
I did not notice that. No.
Yeah, very annoying. But I'm with you, man. Just let these guys go. Let them go make their real money again on the indie scene over there, whatever. I don't know. I mean, now they've got that WWE credibility on the resume, being a name now, so they're going to get more higher of a bump. And we weren't even really trying to make a joke. You could see the defeat in this man's. Has he ever won a match in NXT UK? Maybe one?
I think he won a dark match in Cambridge. It might have been Birmingham. In 2018,
and I know you're not
in March 20.
You're not huge on Huxley, and you never really have been. But I've always kind of saw a Bruiser Brody thing, and them going back to episode 1. I feel like 2 years ago.
I think it might have been Cambridge when we did like first started reviewing NXT UK. It's like he had a UK barbarian look about him.
Yeah.
Not barbarian. The fuck am I talking?
Brody.
UK berserker.
I just thought you meant like a barbarian in general, not the barbarian. So I went with it, but it worked.
I actually meant the berserker, so I fucked up completely there. But like he had a berserker look about him, and it's like you might have been able to do something with that, you know, lower mid card, but his enhancement now completely.
Totally a victim of wrong era. Like if this guy was in the late 80s, he would have been getting those paydays in. I could have seen him having at least a house show loop with Hogan. Just has that look, maybe.
Good call. I mean, he'd probably have to jack up a bit, but then if we're talking about him being around in the 80s...
Well, yeah, I mean, he would obviously have the means and sources to do that then if he was in the 80s. He'd have no problem finding a good old needle.
Yeah.
My God. Speaking of that, Ridge Holland, man, what a beautiful transition that was. Ridge Holland coming out the hometown hero with a mediocre fucking pop.
Yep. Even the Yorkshire crowd did not care about
It was fucking hilarious because I knew he was from there, so I was curious as dead as this crowd's been for most of the tapings. Well, he'd probably get one of the loudest reactions of the tapings. Like, nope, fuck no. I couldn't have been more wrong once again. They didn't give a shit.
And you could see him looking around on his entrance thinking, are there still an audience here, or have they all fucked off?
He's like, he was looking around like, you heard where he said I was from, right? I mean, what's the deal?
Yeah. Do you want to announce that again, just in case?
You know why? It's because he slept with half of those people's daughters out there. They're not happy about that. He's a stud. You got to give it to him. He's got $1 million look.
Yeah, he has. I think he's probably one of the rare ones that would probably now go better on NXT or even the main roster than NXT UK, because trust me, they're not going to use him in the immediate future.
Right, yeah, but you know who his look immediately reminds me of is Marco Corleone / Mark Jindrak in a way, just a little bit shorter. I get that vibe.
I mean, I can see like a body-wise a Mark Jindrak, but
like if Mark Jindrak grew a goatee.
Honestly.
Maybe even Hammerstone from MLW. I could totally see them being booked as like a brother tag team. Who knows?
I've never seen Hammerstone, so I can't comment. But I think I'm going to watch some MLW off of your recommendations.
As should everyone, and also check out a Major League of Their Own podcast. Cheap plug. That's how I do it.
You're a real Mick Foley tonight, aren't you?
I mean, when in Rome, Matt, you can't watch it without watching the other, right? It's like peanut butter and jelly. Let's be honest. It's like NXT UK in this show.
I think we watch NXT UK, so our audience don't have to.
Only we win then.
We put in legwork for them.
This was, we were talking about it earlier off air. I really enjoyed the squash match. This was an enhancement match done right. Oh my God, Saxon Huxley bumping all over the place for Holland, made him look like a goddamn beast. And Huxley's no small man. You know, he's very agile. So obviously I feel like that played into it and it made sense to do. I like the entrance of Ridge Holland, like just the setup, but I'm not in love with it. It's a little awkward. It needs work. Yeah, other than that, just a basic squash match. What's that? Yeah, I do. It's a unique theme. It's a very epic theme song.
Yeah. I feel like NXT UK are doing the theme tunes right, but they're not nailing like the characters or the entrances or anything that really matters and will get these people over with the crowd just yet.
Does this theme really fit Holland though? Like I could see them giving this to like a Noam Dar or a Devlin or someone. You know, Devlin desperately needs a new theme, by the way, speaking of themes.
Do you know what he does? That one he's got now, it's like he's had it since, I believe, 2017, and I don't think it fits his character at all.
It's just so bland. It's like a dark match jobber entrance theme or something. It's awful. What did you think of this little showcase for Ridge Holland, Matt?
I thought he looked strong. He looked like a monster, and this was over in about a minute and a half. So, and he wins with an Alabama Slam. So, yeah,
multiple.
Good, the only thing I picked multiple. The only thing I picked up in this was the female referee that came out of absolutely nowhere. I don't ever believe I've seen her before, Travis.
Same.
It's like this is the end of night 2 tapings, and where did she come from? We've not seen her in night 1. You know, we've not seen her for the last 5 weeks. She just pops up here for one match.
I honestly felt like she was Effie Valkyrie, and they just gave her something else to do. She kind of looked like her for a second. Or Tegan Knox.
Well,
they're like, hey, yeah. Tegan Knox, what are you doing here, refereeing? What's going on? You're not even in this brand anymore. Talk night and day for you, Matt. Tegan Knox.
Which is a shame,
Valkyrie.
By the way.
That is a shame. Because goddamn could that division use her right now a hell of a lot more than NXT is.
Yeah. But the good news is I think they're starting to bring in like Danny Luna into the fold because she gets a big rub in Coventry.
Yeah.
And so does Ginny, actually. So,
really?
Resurgence of Ginny.
We will get there when we get there. Then I'm excited now for Coventry. You just saved Coventry for me, Matt. Thank you. You're a good friend. Was this to get serious for a minute? Ridge Holland with the win. Blah blah blah. Next, was this either Ligero or Devlin? I can't remember the order.
This was Jordan Devlin.
Okay.
Basically saying he'll return to Coventry next week. Is that what I think? This has been the gist of his promos the past few weeks now. It's just that I'll come back soon, and now I'll come back next week.
He missed the entire run of your tapings then, right?
He was injured. He had to pull out of a Progress event. He had tennis elbow, I think it was.
Oof.
And the doctor wouldn't clear him to wrestle.
That's rough. At least they didn't strip him of the belt. They've obviously got some plans for him then, I feel like.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, Travis. Hopefully they're not just building him up for a mediocre run and then have him lose it to someone hideous.
Yeah, my only complaint with this was the cameraman should have taken a step back like 3 inches. He was zoomed in way too close on Devlin's mouth, and all I could focus on was his perfect teeth. The entire promo. It was that close.
His had work on them. You can tell.
You can tell for sure. And I was just like, damn you. I want your teeth. They're nice. Up next, this wasn't very nice. If anyone has listened to this show, especially since day one, maybe the most improved performer in this entire brand has been Isla Dawn. Fair to say, Matt? In our eyes.
Agreed. And can I just say that whoever it was on the 411 Mania website who said that Isla Dawn has made no progress whatsoever can fuck right off, because if you watch this program regularly, then she's improved so much, Travis.
Yeah.
Like we started this off and I couldn't stand her, and now it's got to the point where I really, really like her.
We've gone to a point where you couldn't stand her to strap in, guys, because we're about to get very pissed off here in a second. Even you can go back and compare. Remember when she was on Raw as a jobber as Stacey Coates and Asuka squashed her? Compare from that to where she's at now. She's totally, you can tell she's worked hard. She's put in the work. I'm not going to say she listened to our podcast, but obviously someone's been in her ear with criticism, because I feel like everything except for the scantily clad attire, which I don't remember complaining about that, but Matt did. She's pretty much listened to all her critics and tried to work. You can tell she's tried to work on it. She's not a perfect wrestler by any means, but she's much more tolerable than where we were with like a year and a half ago. And that's why this segment pisses me off with Effie Valkyrie, who's the shiny new toy for NXT UK, booking-wise for them. What's the payoff when you do that, when you take the time? You're not just there cashing in checks or milking something. You're actually trying to improve your craft. What's the payoff and the reward for that? To be fed to somebody who's garnering absolutely no fucking reaction at all. Like you're a flat-out schlub in less than 5 minutes. Bullshit.
It's a slap in the face. I mean, it's a complete slap. It's like Isla Dawn has put in so much work, and the fan, it's like you could hear the audience who didn't give a fuck about Ridge Holland, the hometown boy, but they were chanting for Isla Dawn. And it's like she's grown on audiences, not just us, but audiences in the UK. And, people have taken her to heart, and they've seen the progress she's made. And yet NXT UK just keeps seeing, she's the Ligero of NXT UK's women division. So she'll get to a certain point, and then, oh no, somebody else important has to be put over, so she has to take a back seat.
Matt,
it's not fair.
I'm gonna flat out say it right now. It's not fair, and I agree, but I'm gonna flat out say it right now. Effie Valkyrie is not gonna work as a babyface. I don't care, unless every fucking show they do from now is in Dublin, Ireland. It's not gonna work. People are not gonna get on board with this. You know why? We've said it before. It's lame as shit. It's hokey as shit, and she's not. She's good in ring. She's solid. She's not captivating. There's more to this than just being a good worker. She doesn't. She does not draw your eyes to her at all.
Nope, she doesn't. And you know what? Second match, and she already looks and feels like a mid-card act.
Really does. She feels like Kmart Ember Moon.
Oh, and the poses, Travis, they're as cringy as fuck. I can't watch the TV when she's striking them poses. It's just like, ooh. You know what I mean? I feel like I need a shower after it. It's that bad.
I know she wrestled, at night 1 on these tapings, correct? This was night 2. So that's only one appearance on both sets of tapings. I mean, even if these fans attended night 1, they saw her, they know she's supposed to be portrayed as a babyface. There was no reaction for the entrance. They were in Isla Dawn's corner, like you said. It's not going to work. And I feel like we're going to see probably within the next 2 months, prediction, they're going to try to shift her to turn heel. I feel like eventually Piper Niven's going to beat Kaylee Ray. Kaylee Ray will probably be in NXT before the year's out, and you go Valkyrie and Piper for the title. If they really want Valkyrie in that position so bad, I feel like you do it as a heel.
I mean, she, as far as I remember seeing, she's not in Coventry at all. So we're now not going to see her until middle of May again. So that's 2 months. Will give us to call off on her. Maybe they'll bring her back in. I think it's Bournemouth they're headed to next in May for the next set of tapings. So maybe they'll bring her back as a heel in Bournemouth, depending on what happens in Dublin.
Yeah. In
the Women's Championship match. But honestly, I just don't care about this woman at all. I was pissed off that she had to go over Isla Dawn. I mean, you've got a deep women's division now. or as deep as you're going to get for the time being. Could you not have found two other women for Valkyrie and Isla Dawn to tag against?
Is Nina Samuels that busy? Is she in that much? I know she's over there in the UK still, but I mean, they've never treated Nina Samuels serious except for one match with Toni Storm. Why couldn't this have been Nina Samuels? Yeah.
Exactly. Anyone but Isla Dawn.
Ugh.
It's just fucking annoying. And do you know what? I'm going to say it again, Travis. Wait till we get to Coventry, because Isla Dawn does not fare any better in their booking strategy.
They must hate her and Zach Gibson so much. I know they're a couple in real life, but man, they must rub people the wrong way. Jesus
They're
Christ.
not.
Oh, they've since split. My bad.
Yeah, she's dating Lewis Howley now.
My fault, Matt. My fault. But that's why you're here to keep me updated on that.
Up your game, son. Come on. No, yeah. I don't know. I mean, spoilers ahead, so fast forward now. But she loses to Toni Storm in Coventry, so I just, unless this is the beginning of a 2-month-ish program between Toni Storm and Isla Dawn, then I just don't think she features in their plans at all.
No. Damn it. Well, that was that for this. This is a pretty decisive win for Effie Valkyrie, and now she's gonna sit at home for 2 months, so waste of time. Once again, this was Ligero time, and maybe his most ridiculous mask I've ever seen.
They do seem to be getting more outlandish every time we see him.
They do? That doesn't mean I don't like it.
When was the last time we saw him? I mean, it must have been in January.
I don't even remember reviewing the Ligero match this year at all with you in 2020 yet. I don't.
So if that's the case, then I'm thinking it must have been that triple threat match with Joseph Connors and Travis Banks.
Yeah.
That's good, and that was right at the beginning of January.
Yeah.
Oh, such a talent as well, and he's just sat there doing nothing.
By the way, beginning of January, we're recording this episode March 10th, so there you go.
So he's not been on WWE television now for 2.5 months by the time this week's episode comes around.
And what did we just get done saying with Effie Valkyrie? Holy shit. They really do. NXT UK has really become their storage closet for all their shiny British little toys and Irish little toys. It's just coming out more. It's radiating more and more every month this year that they don't give a fuck about this brand.
It's annoying as well, isn't it? Especially when we've invested so much in it and so much time and effort and heart, and you can see the fans there. Well, apart from in York, obviously, but you can see the fans wanting to buy into it, and yet they just keep pulling the rug from under us every time.
Dare I say they're 205 in it, Matt? They put so much effort in, like the Cruiserweight Classic and getting that over with people, and then the very beginning of starting up 205 Live, and the Cruiserweights on Raw, and they really wanted people to get hyped up, and by 6 months in, it was... NXT UK has gotten longer than 6 months, but now it's obvious that they're just starting to fucking give up. And now it's just over there, like we say, more and more every week to monopolize the UK indie wrestling scene.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think NXT UK as a brand doesn't have, dare I say, the figurehead that it had this time last year.
Right. Yeah.
Pete, people say what they like about Pete Dunne, etc., but he anchored the brand, and people knew who he was, and people loved him. And so NXT UK had a bigger presence with him on top of the mountain than they do currently with Walter. And don't get me wrong, I was wrong about Walter. Like last year, I sat here and said it will never work with Walter as champion. I was wrong about that. Walter's been a great champion, but he's not been the figurehead that NXT UK needed.
I feel like technically you weren't wrong, because I don't think Walter has the cross-demographic appeal that Pete Dunne had at all. And you can even carry in that now with Pete Dunne's popularity with Matt Riddle's tag team with American audiences. He's got that. He's like a Rob Van Dam to me. He's like, everybody can relate to a Pete Dunne. Walter, I feel like for casuals, because I've been there with my girlfriend. She didn't know who the fuck Walter was. Lo and behold, here comes Survivor Series, right? Every time I've been around a casual and Walter's graphic pops up on the screen, they start making fun of his appearance. And it's like, why is his name just Walter? And it's so hard for them to take him serious. I totally agree with you on that. I don't feel like Walter has carried that banner nearly even a fraction. I mean, yes, he's done okay, but Pete Dunne is the Hogan still of NXT UK. Not even close. Walter's not even the Ultimate Warrior right now, if you want to play that kind of rank, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I see where you're coming from. I mean, he has been a good champion, Travis. It's like, the matches he's had are, he still hold that Pete Dunne quality. But, like with that, as far as the figurehead goes, he's not a tenth of Pete Dunne.
He's not charismatic. He's a monster heel surrounded by a faction. What is there to be a figurehead with that? I feel like it was different with the Flair and the Horsemen, because those guys were walking charisma and testosterone personified. But these guys are silent killers. One guy speaks for them, basically. You know what I mean? It's hard to build a brand around that. You can do it, but you better have some goddamn strong-ass protagonists to go against them. That is exactly the fucking problem right now. They don't.
I think it's going to be the problem when he loses the title as well, because once that title's gone from Walter's waist, Walter's gone from NXT UK.
And then you can just flip everything I just said, and with no protagonists or no antagonists that are credible, really.
I still think it's going to Tyler Bate, but then again, like, what then? It's like, does Tyler Bate have the appeal that Pete Dunne has? I mean, he's got part of it in that, he's been exhibited on Worlds Collide and people love his matches, and he's much better now than he was 2.5 years ago when he won the title for the first time.
Yeah.
But I just still don't see a figurehead of Pete Dunne's stature stepping forward.
It's not Dragunov. It's not Dragunov, in my opinion, either. Not anytime soon, because especially American fans, as we said, have been so conditioned over the years subconsciously to think the Big Red, the Russian, is a nightmare, is a heel by nature. It's really hard. Look at Worlds Collide, for fuck's sake. How did that go? But I feel like this summer, my bold prediction is we're getting the summer of WXW this summer into early fall. I think they're going Dragunov and Walter with rematch wars over this summer. And there's nothing wrong with that, but where do you go from that is the problem, and the issue, I guess, is what we're saying. Because now we know where we're going for Dublin, essentially, and they can, let's be honest, they can milk out some classics with Dragunov and Walter. That's fine to do 2 or 3, maybe. 3 tops. Don't do more than 3, for fuck's sake.
Oh, yeah. 3, you're starting to look at people getting bored, but it's all what happens under that now, Travis. It's like, you can't do 3 Dragunovs and Walters to get to, I don't know, because it's not going to be the next takeover isn't going to be till fall. August, most probably now. Yeah. And then possibly one in December for, Christmas time.
They're like the big 4, basically, Matt, right? Like the old school big 4.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. So you got big 4 takeovers this year. Say Dragunov and Walter go for the next 3. That takes us to Christmas. Where'd you go in 2021? You've got to build something constant and recognisable under that.
I'd say bring back Santa Claus, but he dead.
I see Tyler Bate just being there. And when I say that, I mean, it's like, I see Triple H, Shawn Michaels, even William Regal, who's had more hands-on role in NXT UK recently. I see them looking at Tyler Bate and going, he's just going to sit there. He doesn't need any building. It's like, when the time comes for Walter to drop the title, he's just there. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not confident they're going to put any great stock in a huge war with Tyler Bate and somebody for number 1 contendership of the United Kingdom title.
And I feel like
I think they're just going to rely on Tyler Bate being there.
They're putting all their effort into builds and stuff like that and continuity on actual NXT. They're not, this is a total afterthought show right now. That's where all their time and effort's going.
Sadly. And I think we're getting Walter and Finn Balor at TakeOver Tampa for the United Kingdom Championship in a hope that draws more eyes to Dublin.
That could change everything. But then you go Dragunov and Balor again. And you know Dragunov's going to get the shit boot out of him if Balor's the champion in Dublin. My God.
Exactly. I don't think Balor's going to win the title in Tampa. I think it'll be a disqualification, so Finn Balor doesn't have to take the pinfall loss. But I don't know. I think
maybe Devlin could cost Balor. I could see that. Then you go Devlin and Balor, Irishman versus Irishman at TakeOver. That'd be fucking awesome, actually.
Do you know, I wouldn't mind that at all. But obviously, it's like they've built up Tyler Bate versus Finn Balor in Coventry.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to deliver that now. And plus, that started all the way back at Worlds Collide, Travis, when Tyler Bate confronted Finn Balor for attacking.
Right.
Was it Ciampa or Gargano? One of them backstage. So they've been building that steadily and very slowly for 3 months now.
Maybe
so
Bate
costs
Balor.
Pay that off.
Maybe Bate costs Balor. Then you take a risk though of Bate getting the shit boot out of him because Balor is so over in America still, even though he's a heel.
Yeah.
Gee, they have really backed themselves into a fucking corner, haven't they, Matt?
They've booked themselves into the tightest corner possible.
My God.
And one wrong move, and it's going to bring it all crumbling down.
Jesus Christ. What have you done to Matt's baby? What have you done to Matt's baby? You bastards.
Oh my God.
You've made it like a mongoloid now with like 3 eyes, and it's had like radiation treatments and shit. Stop messing with NXT UK. Let's let it be simplified how it used to be, hard-hitting, blah, blah, blah. Everything else always seemed to fall in place when they booked it that way. Every time.
It did. And now it's just this mess of possible ideas. Because, I mean, in Coventry, right, and this is the last time I'll mention Coventry before we move on to this week's main event. They started off, not wanting to give any spoilers to anyone, but fuck it, it's coming up this week anyway. They started off with Balor calling out Imperium, right? Then they dropped it completely, and it ended with Finn Balor and Tyler Bate storyline being built.
Right.
So I don't even think they know where they're going with it. If you're that bothered with it, you know, just save the Balor Walter stuff for NXT television.
Yeah.
It just seems so random at the minute. It's like you called him out on one episode, and then we never hear from it again throughout the whole Coventry tapings. That's it.
Matt, I think for the first time in almost 3 years, an episode has given me a migraine. I really have a headache right now thinking about their booking.
I wonder if they've sat and thought about it as much as we have in this last 15 minutes.
We've gone 48 minutes so far, and I feel like 48 minutes is probably the most time in 3 years they put into this brand's booking. So that's my opinion on it. I feel like, honestly, you know, shooting from the hip, I want to say, well, the wells run dry because they run out of Progress rematches to rip off. That's what I want to say, even though I technically just did it. Because I feel like that's the goddamn truth.
Yeah.
Anytime they've ever had to go out of the... You can't argue with me, Matt, that anytime they've ever had to go out of the box creativity-wise, booking-wise, that hadn't already been done over there in the UK scene, it fell on its ass. Every time.
I mean, the only one that didn't really was Walter and Pete Dunne. That had never been done one-on-one in Progress.
Right.
Had in WXW.
But how do you... On the other hand, though...
Strong style, but.
On the other hand, how do you fuck up the Ultimate Dream match? That's really hard to do. I feel like that kind of fell into their lap, so to speak, you know?
I mean, but then you say that, but a lot of other things have fallen into their lap. Like Jordan Devlin should have been number 1 contender for the UK title going into Dublin.
Yep.
He's not. He's looking at a potential match with either Travis Banks or Noam Dar or both. That fell into their lap and they fucked it up. Balor versus Walter in Ireland fell into their lap. Looks like they've fucked that up. So you say that, Travis, but they've actually fucked a lot of things up that have seemed easy for them to execute.
As much as we marked out too, like little just excited marks that we were when Devlin won the Cruiserweight title, it's been his biggest detriment being booked into Dublin in that title match. you know?
Well, do you know what? I feel like their booking decisions with Jordan Devlin is going to hinder this takeover because it doesn't matter how good Devlin is in the Cruiserweight title match on the undercard. When it gets to that main event, if it is indeed Walter and Dragunov, as it looks like it's going to be, then the Irish fans are going to boo the shit out of that match simply because it's not Devlin or Balor.
Yep. I'm with you, man. I'm right there with you. It's like when a WWE crowd hijacks Brock and Roman at Mania here. It's going to be on that level, probably.
Yeah. We're going to be sitting here on April the 27th or 28th when we record the post show, and we're just going to be saying, like, the Irish crowd ruined the Irish takeover.
They're either going to hijack it or cheer who they're not supposed to cheer for in Walter, just to be rebellious.
I think they're going to hijack it. I think this is their one chance. It's the first time it's ever been to Ireland. It could possibly be the last time it goes to Ireland, depending on the outcome of the crowd reaction. I think they're going to do everything they can to hijack it, I'm not going to say ruin it, but obviously to be the stars of the show. And I'm glad I'm not going. I'll be honest. This is the one takeover I'm glad I'm not attending.
Now that you said that, it's going to be the best takeover they've ever fucking done. Ever. Watch.
Probably. But, I'm still glad I'm not in that audience.
I'm going to be like, I'm going to be like Wade Keller or Bruce Mitchell to one of these dorks on Twitter. It's going to be a 10 out of 10 wrestling show.
Well, they can all go and suck a dick.
Speaking of sucking dicks, let's talk about Dave Mastiff's run in NXT UK so far. It's fell flat on its ass. I'm at a totally different place than when I was in 2018 when they brought all these other guys in the second round, the second UK tournament. I mean, now for what it's worth, like you said at the beginning of this, the opening vignette build was incredible. This wasn't terrible. It's just, it didn't have the proper stage. That took so much out of it.
You know what? I really, really like the match, but the occasion and the crowd, I think, killed it more than it should have been.
Exactly.
Yeah, they should have been. If this had been on, and I keep saying the fucking word, if this had been on the takeover stage in Blackpool, given this amount of time, with this amount of energy, etc., this would have blown Walter versus Joe Coffey out the water.
Oh, yeah.
But because it was a weekly television, this was 7 hours, 45 minutes into a 2-night taping. It felt like a last resort.
Yep. 100%.
But still, very good match. It's like I did really enjoy it.
It was hard hitting. It was exactly what I thought it would be for the most part. Not as many false finishes I thought there would be. There was really only one after Mastiff hit his finisher and Walter kicked out.
Yeah, and I liked the way they went back and forth. I liked that Dave Mastiff took bigger bumps than he'd usually take.
Yeah.
Because it was Walter, because it was the UK title. I just think this is it for Dave Mastiff. Now, this is as high as Dave Mastiff ever climbs in NXT UK.
I don't feel like they see him in that role and any money in him really at all. He's just another name over there that they got to have. Because he was just what was the organization he was from, the champion, because they showed it in the tail of the tape. Well, they put on the thing that he was Fight Club Pro champion, but I think he's most well known over here for being Preston City wrestling champion, because when he held that title, he was going up against guys like Adam Cole. He was going up against guys like Moose from Impact. He was defending the PCW championship against higher caliber performers and better known wrestlers than he did with the Fight Club Pro Championship. Right. There you have it. But I mean, you summed it up in a nutshell. There's nothing really else I could add to how you summed up the match. There's really not. I was going to say the exact same fucking thing. So I don't have anything to add to it other than it was it is what it is, and it needed to be on the takeover. And so this should have been Coffey and Walter. They should have flipped it completely.
Yeah, I agree. And for anyone wondering, Walter won with a power bomb, and I had flashbacks of Nash and the Giant on this.
Yeah.
It's like, is he going to drop him on his fucking head and break his neck? But no, Walter managed to get Dave Mastiff up.
Yep.
Credit to both men for not killing Dave Mastiff on that move. And I that could have gone so wrong, Travis.
It really could have. It's surprising Walter didn't get it with the big splash in this. I am surprised he won with the powerbomb.
Yeah. I like that they took the risk, though. I think it added to the, I'm willing to break his neck to retain the title if that's what it takes.
Yeah, for sure. And that was it, man. That was...
Dude.
Good?
Yeah. I was just going to say to the people listening, do check this out. If you just want to see the good matches and don't want to watch the entire episode, then definitely do check that out, because it's a good little 12, 13-minute match.
Yeah. It was it's something. It's if they did make a best of UK DVD, like 3-disc set or whatever, I feel like I'd throw it on there. Deserves it. You don't see a lot of big horse battles in wrestling in general, period, anymore. So they're always refreshing to see at this point for me.
Especially ones that don't rely on rest holds and just spurts of energy. This had energy from beginning to end, and yeah, very good. That's all I can say about it.
We went through a period in the late 90s, I feel like, where we started seeing these big hoss guys, but they were hybrids. And immediately comes to my mind is Mike Awesome, where he was aesthetically huge. He worked like a big guy, but he was doing tope dives and just all this agile shit. And I feel like since we hit that with the Mike Awesomes and stuff in like 99 into 2000 and now, all the big hosses have all tried to be these hybrids. And God bless Keith Lee, but sometimes it's refreshing just to see a good old-fashioned shit kicker battle like this. Not all big men in 2020 have to do a tope to stand out, because when they all try to do it, no one stands out anymore.
Agreed. It was nice to see. Like there were no suicide dives. There were no moonsaults. There was nothing like that. It was just, let's knock the shit out of each other for 12 minutes, and that will be the match. And it worked. It was very similar to how Walter and Joe Coffey worked in Blackpool. Let's just knock it out of each other without the need for flips or dives.
And credit to those two also.
It shows that it can work.
They threw in a lot of ground game in their match too, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
But no,
they had more time. They had like 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, so you would have to at that point to not blow up, basically.
Yeah, can you imagine being smashed by Walter for 30 minutes straight without any reprieve or...
I'm sure people are clamoring to be booked for that match. Even though the payday is probably nice, they're probably going to sign me up. Just destroy me for a half hour out there.
I think I'd die. Like, if Walter just laid into me for 30 minutes, I think he'd beat me to death.
Bottom line for me, I feel like on any placement, on any tapings, every time the Imperium music first hits, you do kind of get a little out of the crowd every time. Even though it always usually fizzles off, there is a nice little reaction. But the Imperium thing's still clicking with people. Just get your protagonists in stronger spots. And that's pretty much sums up this summary to go against these guys. Because you don't want this to end up like WCW, where the NWO became such a dominant heel faction, nobody could ever compete. And essentially, that's what killed it by the end of it. Just these lackluster, half-assed baby faces not named Bill Goldberg. I don't know. Yeah,
agreed. And like we said, I don't know who's next in line after Dragunov, but whoever it is has to be, ready and potentially ready to dethrone Walter, because I think it's about time we had a UK title change in the UK, Travis, considering, Perth to have been in America.
It would be nice.
Like, what are we paying our money for, Hunter? If all you're going to do is swap the title anywhere else but the UK.
It's nothing like a good old-fashioned bait and switch, pal.
Fuck that. I want I want to see a title change on UK shores.
Just go with, we were talking about the man earlier. He's one of the originals. Give Saxon Huxley a shot. That's going to save the brand. On that note, one more time before we get out of here, Matt, where can everyone catch you?
You can find me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can buy our official merchandise from our online store, unionsmack.bigcartel.com. You can purchase my Undertaker book, A Trip Down Death Valley, from completelynovel.com right now. My second book, NXT UK Year 1, is on its way to you sometime. And Tenant Talks returns this week, Travis. And I think that's all I've got to haul. So, tip of the hat to you.
You get your ass back on that corner and keep whoring. And I'll keep my ass on this corner and keep whoring, as always. On Twitter at the HibikTMD. That little red button right here on YouTube down below. Subscribe right here, HibikTMD. All the goodness, retro gaming, pro wrestling, heavy metal podcast, everything nerdy in between. And ProWrestlingJournal.com for featuring us, the official pro wrestling network of PWJ. Thank you to Drew Oldman and all the lads over there. The most fantastic, eclectic, well-rounded group of writers for pro wrestling. This side of wherever the hell you come from. If it happened in a ring, it's your thing. Until next week, Matt, say it with me. York is over. We'll see you then. Union Smack.
Yeah.
Cheerio.
Cheerio, mate.